John Crook pulled out a boomstick that goes pew pew on an 8-year-old girl, a child, her father, and their female friend who wishes to remain anonymous out of fear for what happened. Levy County Sheriff were immediately dispatched to Otter Creek, and I was fielding phone calls from it felt like the entire town. The Levy County Sheriff were looking for Crook, to talk to Crook, to see what happened. They finally found him hidden in his camper. He refused to speak. Did he get arrested? No, they did not arrest him yet. There's still ongoing investigation, and they are getting all media, video, pictures to arrest Crook. The victims will be talking about their experience. This is the third individual that we know of that Crook has pulled out a boomstick on. We have Chad, we have myself, now an 8-year-old child. There'll be more on this story from your local citizen journalist. But until then, we're going to jump back into the text messages from LIEnette to the mole. You know who the mole is. She's now attacking the child's biological family. The mole, whoever that may be. It could be Jeremy Hales. It could be George. It could be John or Joe or Jane Doe, for all we know, right? Although it would be rather genius if it was Jeremy Hales. Well, anyways, so the mole has some conversating to do about what the Hales is doing, and you can particularly see there is Jessica and Olga, the child's biological aunts. And the mole says these things. You hear conversation about Munchausen by proxy, and then says, to be honest, Grandma has always said Harley want ill. Okay, whatever that's supposed to mean, and it is LIEnette who said it. The Grandma Harley want ill. LOL. If you can make any sense of that, you're doing way better than I am. Frankly, if you can make any sense of LIEnette's life and lies, you're doing way better than I am. But I digress. She goes on to say, my daughter, well, come on, let's do it. Debunked, okay? Not her daughter. She actually has biological children that want absolutely nothing to do with her. Her biological children have actually sought out and received injunctions against LIEnette, which LIEnette lied in the court in Levy County about injunctions in her history. Okay, let's keep going. So my daughter has a whole team of doctors. They do her blood work, they do her medical, they know what's wrong with her. I never take my daughter to the doctor. You know why? Because then she'll be catching something. This is so stupid. All right, hold a second. Hold up, wait a minute. Let's put a little common sense in it. My daughter has a whole team of doctors. Yet then at the end of this word salad paragraph, I never take my daughter to the doctor. If we go back up to the top again, she has a team of doctors. They do her blood work. They do her medical work. They know what's wrong with her. Again, if we go to the second half of the paragraph, I never take my daughter to the doctors. Okay. All right. Oh my goodness. How in the world can anybody decipher this garbage? My daughter has a whole team of doctors. My daughter's doctors know exactly what's wrong with her. My daughter's doctors does the blood work. Oh, by the way, I never take my daughter to the doctors because that's where she gets sick. You know why? Because then she'll catch something. This is so stupid, you see in the last line. You think? That's the first intelligent thing LIEnette has probably ever uttered in her life. That she's stupid. Yes, she's stupid-dumb. She's not okay in the head. All right, so let's just use a little bit more common sense here, okay? So first of all, LIEnette says her daughter has a team of doctors, but then LIEnette says she doesn't take her daughter to the doctors. Well, as LIEnette and Crook have constantly stated and posted all over Facebook, and we have the screenshots, and we're not going to show them right now. We've already shown them in court, and we've shown them in the past, stating that I targeted and George targeted Otter Creek, the poorest town in the poorest county of Levy County, to make a show out of them. Interesting. then why isn't every single program about Otter Creek? Why is the program about my life and what's happening? Okay, but even more importantly, with common sense now, why do you remove a child that has this supposed life-threatening condition and place her in the poorest town, in the poorest county, far away from any medical attention? Ask yourself that. The only answer is you're a stalker, and who in their right mind is ever going to stalk somebody they watched videos of? Like, this is out of control, right? This is ridiculously out of control. Not only stalk them, but once you confirm that they live where you think they live, which is what LIEnette and CROOK did, lied to me and said that they had owned the property across the street, the 1.66 acres. By the way, that 1.66 is extremely, extremely important. You've heard me mention it over and over and over again. It's extremely important in the courts. You'll understand while we're in court. But then what happens is they have me trespass on the property with my tractor, go back home to Northport. Then they put their condo up for sale. Then they sell the condo. Then they actually purchase the property. So you have this whole entire stream of lies. And you have LIEnette at the end of this comment saying, "This is so stupid. You think?" And then it goes on. Let's see what else we have here. All right. Then the mole says, well, who are these two? Well, that's Jessica. That's Olga. And many people, and LIEnette actually says, yeah, that's Olga and Jessica, which LIEnette has been texting them and messaging them. She will unblock them as she did the mole, whoever that may be. And then she will send messages. She's been messaging Jessica and Olga. She'll unblock them and then send them messages. So, the whole insanity of just that. I'm going to block you. Okay, now I have something to say to you, so I'm going to unblock you, and then I'm going to send it. And then I'm going to block you again. I'm going to take my ball, and I'm going to leave. But then I'm going to come back, and I'm going to dribble the ball, and then I'm going to leave again. Here's one thing that I learned growing up. I used to think growing up, I was like, man, adults have it all together. Adults, you know, they're grown up. And I learned very quickly in my teenage years that as a child, when I thought grown-ups had it all together, I learned that grown-ups are most of the time more childish than the actual children. And I still attest to that very thought today. While your body gets older, there are some personalities, emotions, there are individuals who never, ever grow up. There are children that are more mature than these adults. And obviously, this is the case in this situation. So there has been communication with LIEnette and Jessica, LIEnette and Olga, one-sided, unblock, then send a message, block again, then unblock, send another message. Now, many people want to know what's going on in the aspect of the case with them. So I will only share what is allowable to be shared at this point, okay? So phase one is getting the adoption, whether legal or not, unsealed. And that is already well within the process, okay? Even though you haven't seen any updates in regards to that, in the court system, it's already under process, it's already underway. Then there is another move that we are not going to discuss on What the Hales, and we are fully in support of it. But it's one of those things where you don't want to show all of your cards. But once it happens, I promise you'll know all about it from LIEnette's point of view. The mole goes on to say, well, Olga and Jessica did a video chat tonight's video, and you can see right there, LIEnette sends a message and then unsends a message. Again, we have to ask the question, who deletes a message after sending it? Somebody that's incriminating themselves. Somebody that knows what they did is wrong. Even though, remember, she's claimed she's innocent. CROOK is innocent. Even though she claims that CROOK is abusing her and everybody else, and the list goes on and on and on and on, right? Oh my goodness, the insanity. I mean, I find it, even at this point, even though I'm living it, I still, every day, I can't believe the insanity. For example, I was just sent a text message earlier. I'm going to show it to you. And it's LIEnette trying, okay, LIEnette, look at this structure, out in front of North Otter Creek Avenue, trying to turn on music, to blare music for people videoing on YouTube, okay? So now let's talk about this insanity first of all. First of all, LIEnette couldn't even get it on. That's how smart she is. Remember, she told everybody that she graduated high school early, went to college early, the whole deal. She's a genius, but she couldn't even turn this system on without Crook. Crook then shows up and turns it on. Now, if you also look, they have spent a tremendous amount of materials and supplies on this structure just for the sound system, okay? Now, why wouldn't you have spent that on building an actual home for the safety of the child, for a real fence? I don't know, but here's the most funny part of it all, okay? There are individuals that keep telling her, blare music, then individuals' videos will get a copyright strike. Well, here's the funniest part about it, okay? First of all, YouTube's policies changed roughly about 2 years ago. It might have been a little less, might have been a little more, that they no longer copyright strike for any music that's played in the background. There is no copyright strike for that. Now, if you purposefully put music in your video, you're stealing. Just like individuals who steal my videos and then they whine and they cry, I got a copyright strike. You got caught stealing. Oh, but it's fair use. You got caught stealing. You're a thief. Just the same as if you go into a store and you see this phone and you pull it off the shelf and you put it in your pocket, you are a thief. You are stealing intellectual property. Period. End of story. If you're an individual that steals music and puts it in your video, then there will be copyright complaints and that'll shut your video right down. If it's background music, for example, I could have background music right now playing on the property, that will not shut a video down. The whole policy's changed that, hey, that's just normal being out and about. Now, here's even the funnier part, because I just sent this to the individual who sent me that picture. YouTube literally just came out with a new feature where they will actually edit all of the background music out for you. The AI will, okay? It's open to everyone. And so, so LIEnette and Crook are going out blaring music, number one, that won't affect a video at all. It won't do anything, okay? So policies change. You can there could be background music anywhere and everywhere, and nothing's going to change on anybody's video. Nothing negative will happen. Number two, YouTube just rolled out the AI editor where it will keep all audio inside the video and just remove the background music. Pretty stupid on their part, right? So they're not investing in actually doing anything better for themselves or for a child. What they're doing is investing in being an annoyance, harassment. Go figure that one out. Okay, but let's just get back into this. All right, so we know she unsent the message. She's a fool, and she thinks that these messages disappear, just like being a fool going out and trying to turn music on and trying to destroy somebody's video, which doesn't do anything to the video at all. It's just pure stupidity. And then the mole goes on to say the kid's family is speaking out. And then the mole goes on to say they might run. And then LIEnette puts a frowny face. Now, I don't understand why she's frowning at they might run, because isn't that what LIEnette is trying to do anyway? LIEnette is isolating, which is a form of abuse, okay? Isolating the biological family from the child. All right, and then the mole goes on to say they even seen signs that look like Munchausen. The mole goes on to say, sorry, I thought it was in my notes to tell you later. And then LIEnette goes on to say, I do not have Munchausen. To be honest, Grandma has always said, and that's where it goes on to this part of that want ill. My goodness, please freaking pick up a dictionary and learn the English language if you're going to live here. And then she goes on, that's where she goes on to then say, my doctor has a team, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And you know, the ridiculous of it all. And so let's take a look at the next set of messages here. Oh yeah, here we go. Okay. And then LIEnette says this. Uh-oh. LIEnette's onto the mole. She goes, read it. It says fans, OMG. Last I knew that there was a commandment that says don't take my name in vain. Oh, wait, she's a minister and she continues to take God's name in vain. Literally the most important commandment, don't take my name in vain. Don't get me wrong, all 10 commandments are actually important. If you were to break them down, it's half of the commandments are between you and God, your relationship with God, such as God says, don't take my name in vain. And then half of the commandments are between you and other people, such as don't covet thy neighbor's wife. In other words, don't be jealous. Don't try and get what they have. You know what LIEnette and Crook have done coming to Otter Creek, trying to get my money, trying to get promotion, trying to get fame. Well, they're famous. There's no doubt about that. They're famous, trying to extort me. And if I don't give them what they want, then they create hate pages. They put up signs all over town. And so it goes on to say, read it. It says, fans, oh my G, you have been working for him this whole entire time now. And the mole goes, I'm not a fan. Hey, you know what? I gotta be honest, I'm not even a fan of What the Hales. I don't know why people watch it. I appreciate that people do watch it, but it is not something I would, at the end of the day or during the day, just turn on and go, hey, I'm going to watch this to chill out a little bit. It does not even appeal to me, and it's my life. Maybe it's because I'm actually, you know, living it. And then she goes on to say, no one said you were, again, twisting. Bye. And this is LIEnette then pulling the old block move again. Oh, but don't worry. LIEnette's going to unblock this mole again. And then the mole says, oh, I love this. You just can't seem to keep your stories straight. Oh, isn't that true? Now, let's see what they were actually talking about. Because in here, LIEnette sends these screenshots to the mole. And these screenshots, I'll read them the best that I can. Going to do to you, have no idea. We've already read dozens messages that talk. Then there's another one. Going to do messages that talk about, oh, napping, you know, kids napping. Our child, you are taking this as a joke. It's just freaking joke. It's a game being played. It isn't funny. And ha, 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 me tell you something. This is no joke to us. That's because they are the joke. And the world, no, the planet is laughing. LawTube obviously picked up the case, and the mole wanted to let, you know, LIEnette know everything that was going on in LawTube world. But LIEnette says all these lawyers, they're fake. They're not real. You know, like Crook's teeth. All right, so let's keep going on here. Well, actually, he doesn't even have fake teeth. They're all rotten out from the rugs. And she goes on to say, I don't mean, this is LIEnette, I don't mean to sound mean, but that's exactly what the judge is going to think, because it's exactly what all the lawyers are saying. The real ones, you know, the real ones in the case. Okay, so you're wondering, what in the world is she even referencing? Well, the mole is wondering that as well. As am I. So what's the difference between a real lawyer and a fake lawyer? Okay, let's see. Real lawyers actually work for a living, and they're typically busy in court. Versus lawyers that try and call themselves God and steal from people, not only the content, video content, intellectual property, but literally has been found guilty by the bar in Michigan for stealing as I've shared that in a earlier video. Okay, so let's see, what else is the difference between real lawyers and fake lawyers? Well, real lawyers want to be known for actually helping people that are innocent, not defending people that are guilty. Well, there's a difference there as well. Real lawyers aren't out for the fame and the clout that comes along with the what the hell's name. The fake lawyers are on YouTube and going, oh, well, I think I'm going to jump out on this. I don't care if I get fame, whether it's negative or positive. There is this stupid thought that even bad publicity is good publicity. Sorry, it doesn't work that way. Bad publicity is bad publicity. Why don't you ask P. Diddy about that? How good is that publicity right now for him? And we could keep going on and on, right? All right, so she goes on to say, I've got to go. I said I'm busy. I bid you good day. She goes, I said I'm busy. I've got a wonderful day ahead of me today, and I don't want to talk about this garbage this morning. How much you want to bet LIEnette continues to talk about this garbage this morning? Do you think LIEnette actually stopped after she said, I've got a busy day. Good day, sir or ma'am, whoever you are, mole. LIEnette not only continues to go on, but she continues to go on and on. Okay, and she goes, this garbage, this thing, it doesn't live in my head. Let's see. She's created how many Facebook pages about it? She's made how many thousands, if not tens of thousands of posts that we have screenshots of? It's the only thing that she continues to talk about. She begs people to actually message her so she could talk about it. But for some reason, it doesn't live in her head. Can we just, together on 3? 1, 2, 3. Debunked yet again. Doesn't live in her head, and I'm not going to allow it to live in my head. I rather rent space in my head to a lot of different things. Well, let's be very, very blunt. LIEnette has said stupid things such as, my anxiety is over the roof. We all know the saying is through the roof, right? Now she's been all over Facebook listening to people saying, don't let them rent space in your head. She doesn't know this terminology. And so we have confirmation right here that she's picking up this terminology from reading people's comments on Facebook. I'd rather rent space in my head to a lot of different things. Such as what? Pole dancing? Why preaching? Pretty sure those two things don't go together. Turtles and soup? There's a lot of that going on in Otter Creek. Fecal matter in survey holes? I think there's some other fecal matter in other holes. I mean, you could come up with a million things that LIEnette is running the space out in her head, but let's just be honest. There ain't nothing in there. She wants to rent the space out, but there ain't no tenants picking up that bill. Oh my goodness. Okay, so a lot of different things. Then this, thank you, have a beautiful day outside. And then she goes on, why are you putting yourself in any court cases, period? This is LIEnette. This is ridiculous. Like, just pure ridiculous. Remember, she said she didn't want to talk about this. She was going to rent space out to other things, but she's still going. Why are you putting yourself in any court cases, period? Stop talking to people. This is LIEnette telling the mole to stop talking to people as LIEnette is posting, please talk to me about this. Please ask me questions. Please, I'll answer anything. And LIEnette is telling the mole to stop talking to people. Silver Scam is doing everything he can to shut her up. And LIEnette won't stop. And she's telling the mole to stop talking to people? You can't make this up. The insanity of it all. Oh man, I'm trying to wonder, when they make a movie of my life, is it going to be an action film or is it going to be comedy, romance? You know, it's probably going to be a romantic comedy. LIEnette is is completely and totally infatuated with Jeremy and his driveway and his 2-inch pipe and a lot of his long hallway and his other long driveway, and you know, yeah, and she's just so in love, so in love. But then it gets comedic when she comes to Otter Creek, and you got Russ the Sus and Don the Con and Amanda Martin. Yes, Lord, I hear you. You say I'm on a good idea. All right, the script's already written. Hollywood's coming a calling, and then the comedy starts. Okay. So she's telling the mole, don't talk to people. Okay, you're not involved in this. Nobody is involved in this. That's interesting because LIEnette has involved a lot of people in this. You're not involved in my case. You're not involved in any of it. You don't live here. Okay. Well, you know, I've been told I don't live in Otter Creek either, but I do. She goes on to say, you don't know anything. You're not a part of this case, period. Man, wouldn't it be amazing? Yeah, you can see the period in there. Wouldn't it be amazing if LIEnette, middle of the screen, period, if when LIEnette actually said period, that her talk to text would actually put a period in and there'd be some actual grammar, sentence structure, you know, normal things. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way for her, but she loves saying the word period. She doesn't know how to use the period. And, you know, I'm just thinking I could make a whole lot more jokes of that. Before I end up doing that, let's just keep going, okay? Oh, man. I'm making them up in my mind right now, as I'm sure you are too. LIEnette and her period. Okay. All right. So you're not a party of this case, period. And you're just another fan getting their nose in people's business. Can you believe this? You're just another fan getting their nose in people's business. LIEnette is the only fan that has ever stalked us to a town where we lived and intentionally purchased property. You want to talk about a fan getting in other people's business? You want to talk about a fan interrupting the lives of a YouTuber? What the hells? This is... You understand the word fan comes from the root word fanatic. LIEnette is a fanatic. Now, she's a freak. It should be freak addict, but for her to even begin to tell this mole, you're just sticking your nose into other people's business. How does she know it's not my nose? Now, I'm very aware. I have a giant nose. George has a giant nose. We even have compared our noses to each other. George's nose is even bigger than mine. And you know what we don't do? Put our noses in other people's business. You start messing in my business. You start stealing from my business. You start lying and manipulating in my business. You better believe it's no longer somebody else's business. It's my business. When there are people online stealing my videos, that's theft. It's my business. If there's people out there claiming defamation, character defamation about me, that becomes my business. If I'm stalked and signs go up calling me the Ohio rapist or that I rapped somebody's daughter, that's my business. That's other people interjecting themselves into my business, which now becomes my business because it is my business. See what I'm saying? You have to understand with a certain amount of success, okay? Maybe success is the wrong word. With the amount of blessed that I've been, God has chosen, I don't know why, I honestly don't, because I'm not worthy of it and I don't deserve it, but God has chosen to bless me tremendously. And I appreciate that he's done that so that I can be a blessing to others in my sphere of influence. Well, when I'm a blessing to others in my sphere of influence, there's always more people trying to get into that sphere of influence, stick their nose in my business where it doesn't belong. And then they want to cry that they're a victim when I won't promote them, when I won't give them money, when I won't do what they want. They're a victim. And then the foolishness of haters out there going, how can this person have so many problems? I'll tell you what, you get my success and you see if you have as many, if not more problems. Because I'm telling you, with money, more problems. That's what ends up happening. Now, thankfully, I can utilize that to help people with their problems as well. And that's what I really, truly love to do. That's how God has wired me. And LIEnette goes on to say, that's what's going to be said in court, period. Okay, what exactly is going to be said in court? The Almighty Judge is speaking right now. So this is what LIEnette, just to recap, this is what LIEnette says is going to be said in court. It's not involved. You're not involved in my case. You're not involved in any of it. You don't live here. You don't know anything. You're not a party of this case, period. You're just another fan getting their nose in people's business. And that's what's going to be said in court, period. I agree with her. In court, it's going to be LIEnette CROOK. You're another fan trying to stick your nose into somebody's business and get something that you didn't work for. I agree. You know what? I can't even say it. I can't say it. LIEnette saying that this is what's going to be said about the mole, but the reality, this is going to be said about LIEnette in court. I can't debunk that. Except the only debunking part is LIEnette says it's going to be said about the mole, but it's truly going to be said about LIEnette. LIEnette then goes on to say, I don't mean to sound so mean, but that's exactly what the judge is going to think. The judge is going to think. All right, here we go. That's exactly what the judge is going to think. And then she goes on to say, everyone has a right to change what they say. Hold a second. I thought once everybody got her side of the story, they were going to get the real story. But now LIEnette says everyone has a right to change what they say. Wouldn't that be lying? If it's not true, we've already talked about relative truth in this culture, and this culture is so heavily laden with relative truth. Relative truth is garbage. It's junk. It does not exist. It's not real. But they want to make it real where you get the word relative. It's relative. It's real to me. Well, okay, let me guess. You see rainbow unicorns. They're not real. Well, it's real to me. It's my relative truth. They're not real. I see a horse with a taped on cotton candy stick on it, and then somebody painted the tail hair rainbow. Now that is absolute truth. Unicorns don't exist. Go out and ask some people. They've been looking for unicorns for years. They still can't find one. Everyone has a right to change what they say. Maybe you think about it and you think God didn't write that well, or this or that, or has nothing. Oh my goodness, this is a self-proclaimed minister. I know you think I'm making this up. Look at it. You think God didn't say this or that or well or that, and ridiculousness. This is the woman who claims she knows the Bible. She knows her Bible verses. She's all that in a bag of chips. Her and God are like this. Let me be very, very clear. God wants to be like this with all of us, every single one of us, okay? Now, when we have sin, such as pole dancing. Now, you're going to go, oh, well, I was a pole dancer. Great. If you were a pole dancer and you don't agree with my belief system, that's fine. Go on, make a channel for your own belief system. But LIEnette's claiming she knows God. And if she knows God, she knows how God feels about pole dancing, womanizing, sexualizing the aspect of a woman's body. And she knows that's sin. As a matter of fact, we could go to Romans, we could go to 1 Timothy, 2 we could go all different areas, and we could go, yep, that is complete and total sin. And then she'll tell you she's proud of what she did. Yet God isn't. So when you have, I'm telling them, yes, your servant's listening. When you have that type of sin in your life, you and God aren't together. Think of it as a couple, such as LIEnette and CROOK. Let's say CROOK goes out and cheats on LIEnette with this woman that he was selling his rugs to. And then LIEnette intercepts the letter, which is a felony, and then tells the woman, don't you ever contact him again. That relationship is now severed. That's the same with our relationship with our Heavenly Father, if you have one, and if you believe in that, which I do. And when we have sin in the way, we have broken fellowship. We have a broken relationship. And the only way to repair that, yet again, is through asking of forgiveness. Well, when an individual says, I'm proud of how I raised my family. I'm proud. I did this and I did that. That's not apology. That's pride is what it is. She's proud and prideful. She's not shameful. Now, I get some of you are thinking, why is Jeremy turning this into a Bible lesson? Because she claims to be a minister, a preacher. So if she truly believes it, she should be living it, right? She doesn't live anything like that. Not at all. Now, I'm not saying you agree with me. I'm not saying you agree with her. Or maybe you do agree with her and you disagree with me. You can think whatever you want. Number one, just remember, truth is absolute. It's not relative. So make sure what you believe is the right thing, the absolute thing. And here's where things get out of control with her talking about God, yet again proving she has no concept of God. Everyone has the right to change what they say. Maybe you think about it and you think God didn't write that well, or this, or that, or has nothing to do with it. And you know what I can tell, that you are 100% on the side of someone that's trying to destroy me and hurt my family. And I don't want any part of it. Any part. I don't. Do you think she's going to say ugh or period? What in the world does this paragraph even mean? You think about it, and you think God didn't write that well, or this, or that has nothing to do with it, and you know I can tell you're 100% on his side. Meaning Jeremy Hales. Or was she communicating to Jeremy Hales? And if she was, wouldn't that be a violation of the Civil Protection Order? Remember, civil protection orders are not two-sided, and frankly, I am getting exhausted with seeing the ignorance and the foolishness of comments online going, well, if Jeremy has a civil protection order on her, he can't communicate with her. Wrong. I can do whatever I want. George can say whatever she wants. She can't respond. It is one-sided. That's it. She has the no, you can't. Jeremy and George live life as normal. Now I have the temporary injunction from Florida, which puts limitations on me. But beforehand, I had no limitations. Now, we also see that, yes, Heather, it's a lie. It's all a lie. And you're wondering, who's Heather? Well, we can go by lots of names, can't we? Honestly, this could be a conversation with herself. She could be so schizophrenic that she's having this conversation online with herself, and her other personality, Heather, is throwing herself under the bus, because that's what LIEnette loves to do, is to throw those around her under the bus, and her personality, Heather's throwing LIEnette under the bus right now. She goes, yes, Heather, it's a lie. It's already been proven. It's already proven I didn't stalk him here. So no worries. My adoption attorney's ready for the fight. By the way, she has no adoption attorney. She went on for over a year saying she had an attorney for all these civil protection orders. She never had one. Then she scrambled like crazy for a deposition to get Silver Scam. And it was only during the deposition when she actually got Silver Scam to say, yeah, I'll take the money. She never had an attorney then. She doesn't have an attorney for the adoption now. And she needs an attorney for, well, you got civil court in Florida, you got civil court in Ohio, you got federal court, now you got family court in Florida with the adoption. The list isn't going to stop anytime soon, and anybody else who wants to file defamation, which there are others in line, ready. And she goes, my adoption attorney is ready for the fight. By the way, the attorney she used for the adoption paperwork is a veterinarian attorney, works on animal cases. You think that's an adoption attorney? So I'm good to go. Why do you think I still have joy in my heart? All I ever see on film is cussing, swearing, vulgar vileness towards everybody. When the cops are there, when the cops aren't there, it's all we ever hear. Ask any resident of Otter Creek. Why do you think I still have joy in my heart? We are innocent! Remember, she's innocent. Everything I've said is, and the civil protection order from Ohio, it's fraudulent. It's fraudulent, and God's gonna punish those that have hurt my child. She doesn't deserve any of this. Would this be proclaiming prophecy? Now, she claims she's a minister, and prophecy is a gift of the Spirit. Would this be self-proclaiming prophecy? God's going to punish those that hurt my child. Well, who's hurt the child? It's pretty evident who's hurt the child. You think God's going to punish LIEnette and Crook? Like, seriously, big time. You think this is all part of that punishment? Now, they want to keep saying that God's going to punish me, and I look at my life, and I keep saying God continues to bless me. And I don't grasp it. I don't understand it. I truly don't. I don't know why God has chosen to bless me. I hope to be found faithful in what he has blessed me with, but I don't know why he chose to bless me, and I thank him for doing it. But they keep saying over and over again, God's going to get me. God's going to get karma. You got other fools out there going, karma, karma. Karma has nothing to do with Christianity, by the way. And so you can't sit there and go, I believe in God. Oh, I believe in karma. The two don't coexist. One is from an occult and one's from Christianity. And so God keeps blessing me and not punishing me. Why? Is it because I actually care to make sure a child is safe? Is it because I won't tolerate this corruption, the manipulation, the lying, the absolute evilness of all of this, and I won't back down from the fight? It very well could be those things. I don't know. I don't have the answers. I know that we needed rain, and God's providing rain. I'm being blessed yet again. Literally being blessed right now. Yesterday, I mowed for almost 4 hours. It was so dirty and dusty, and there was just dust everywhere. I woke up this morning, my eyes were sealed shut with crust, and they're probably still puffy right now from all my allergies. And I went, man, we need rain so bad. And look at this. We're getting it. But LIEnette says God's going to punish those who have hurt my child. She doesn't deserve any of this. Now, that's one thing that LIEnette and I are going to agree on. No child deserves any of this. A child deserves to be with other children. A child deserves to have fellowship, to learn how to have healthy relationships with other kids. This child has none of that. Child deserves to be with their biological family, with other children, cousins, siblings, brothers, sisters, which this child has, aunts, uncles, grandmas. This child has, but this child has been isolated from all of that. And that is a type of child abuse. Isolation. As a matter of fact, LIEnette went on Facebook to create an entire page just for isolation because her kids sought out injunctions to keep her grandkids away from her. So, truly, who's God going to punish in this aspect? I mean, I really want to know. And why is LIEnette still speaking when she said she was going to rent out space in her head to all these other things? But she keeps going on and on and on. All right, there's more conversation. Let's just go on to the next one here. And then, so the mole says, oh, that's Brian and his family. And then every time he talks about it, he gets mad as H-E double hockey stick. Now, what that means is so we designated roughly $100,000 to actually remodel the schoolhouse this past winter. So that was designated in a budget in the accounts. And so all that money was supposed to go to remodeling. Brian was hired for remodeling. That's it. Brian remodels. Brian was hired for a specific job to remodel. That doesn't mean Brian is hired to sort. That doesn't mean Brian was hired to do eBay. Deanna does that. George does that. Christian does that. Patience does that. Brian was hired to help remodel the schoolhouse. Now we had to allocate all those funds towards legal fees. So we're at $162,000 so far in those legal fees. I've had to pull Georgia's salary down. She's working now for a third of what she was working before. First, I pulled it down to 2/3. Now I've pulled it down to a third. That's pulling everything back and allocating towards legal fees. And so the mole is talking about I had to let Brian go because we were no longer actually remodeling the schoolhouse. If we're not remodeling the schoolhouse, I can't keep an employee on that was hired to remodel the schoolhouse. And I'm not going to teach them eBay because I already have employees to do eBay and to do other things. So the mole right now is saying, hey, he's really upset when he's talking about what's happened with him having to let Brian go, not finishing the school. Now, many are asking right now, well, what's going on with Brian? Well, Brian is married. Biggest shocker, I know. All of you ladies out there that love Brian, Brian actually got married and is living in California as of a month ago. But that's another story for another time. So then LIEnette says, who the heck is that? Never heard that name before. And then the mole says, because he was keeping him away from you and your drama. And then LIEnette says, yeah, right. More lies. Would this be I'm rubber, you're glue, whatever you say, bounces off of me, sticks on you? Or would it be takes one to know one? And then the mole says, is that all they are? And then LIEnette, so the mole is calling LIEnette out. And then LIEnette says, I'm busy today. I have to go. Ta-ta. Have a beautiful day. It's beautiful outside. Wait, hold on a second. Isn't this what LIEnette already said? I don't know. A long, long time ago in this rant and messages. And then she doesn't stop. She goes on to say, okay, if you're not saying it's no worry to me, I've done nothing to hurt anyone. I stand in front of my God knowing I'm in good standing. That's odd because I'm pretty sure she spent most of her life on a pole or on her knees. And now she's going to say that she's in good standing. She shows no remorse, no regret for what she has done in her life. And she somehow thinks biblically she's going to stand before God in good standing. It does not work that way.